CICV 97.5 Radio Cowichan present the Lake Cowichan School Players on the air in The War of the Worlds, Vancouver Island Edition.
We now know that in the early years of the 21st century, this world was being watched closely by extraterrestrials. We now know that as human beings busied themselves about their various daily tasks, they were being scrutinized and studied, perhaps almost as narrowly as a scientist with a microscope might scrutinize the passing creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With complete indifference, people went to and fro over the earth about their daily affairs, at peace in the belief that we ruled this small, spinning fragment of our solar system, which, by chance or design, humans have inherited from their ancestors. Yet, across the immense void of outer space, minds which were cool and unsympathetic regard this earth with envious eyes, and slowly began their ominous plans against us. In the 17th year of the 21st century came the Great Disillusionment. It was near the end of June. The economy was better. The Trump government was being less newsworthy. More men were back to work. Sales were picking up after the threat of U.S. sanctions on Canadian products. On a lovely evening in June, the CBC estimated that around 2 million people were listening in on their radios.
For the next 24 hours, not much change in temperature. An atmospheric disturbance of unknown origin is reported over southern British Columbia, causing a low-pressure area to move down rapidly over Vancouver Island, bringing a forecast of rain, accompanied by winds of light gale force. A forecast high of 19 degrees Celsius with a low of 9 degrees Celsius for tomorrow. This weather report comes to you from the Weather Network. We now take you to Centennial Hall in Lake Cowichan, where you will be entertained by the music of Joe and the Bone Boys.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. From Centennial Hall in the beautiful Lake Cowichan, we bring you the music of Joe and the Bone Boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from Global News. At 20 minutes before 8 p.m. Pacific Time, Professor Durrell of the Center of the Universe Observatory, Saanich, BC, reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas at regular intervals on the surface of Mars. Studies include the gas to be hydrogen moving towards Earth with enormous velocity. Professor Sidhu of the University of Victoria confirms Durrell's findings and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the music of Joe and the Bone Boys playing at Centennial Hall in scenic Lake Cowichan. We are now ready to take you to the University of Victoria Observatory, Saanich, BC, where Amy Davies, our commentator, will interview Professor Sidhu, famous astronomer. We now take you to Saanich, BC.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Amy Davies, speaking to you from the observatory in Saanich. I am standing in a large, semi-circular room, pitch black except for an oblong split in the ceiling. Through this opening, I can see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of shimmering glow over the intricate mechanism of the huge telescope. Professor Sidhu stands directly beside me on a small platform, peering through a giant lens. I ask you to be patient. Ladies and gentlemen, during any delay that may arise throughout the interview, besides his endless watch of the heavens, Professor Sidhu may be interrupted by phone or other telecommunications. Through this period, he is in constant contact with other observatories around the world. Professor, may I begin the interview?
Any time, Miss Davies.
Professor, would you please tell our radio audience exactly what you see as you observe the planet Mars through your telescope?
Nothing unusual at the moment, Miss Davies. Red disk swimming in a blue sea. Horizontal stripes across the disk. Quite distant now, because Mars happens to be the point nearest the Earth, in opposition, as we call it.
In your opinion, what do these horizontal stripes signify?
Not canals, I can assure you, Miss Davies. Although, that's the popular belief of those who think that Mars is inhabited from a scientific viewpoint. The stripes are just the result of atmospheric conditions unique to the planet.
Then you are quite sure, as a scientist, that intelligent life does not exist on Mars.
I'd say the chances against it are 1,000,000 to 1.
But how do you account for these gas eruptions presently occurring on the surface of the planet as we speak?
Miss Davies, I do not know.
By the way, Professor, for the listeners, approximately, how far away is Mars from Earth?
Roughly 64.4 million kilometers away.
That seems like a very safe distance away. Just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, someone has just sent Professor Sidhu a text message. While he reads it, let me remind you that we are speaking to you from the observatory at UVic in Saanich, BC, where I am interviewing the world-famous Professor Aidan Sidhu. One moment, please. Professor Sidhu has just shared with me the text message that I will now share with you, with the professor's consent.
Yes, of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, the text sent from Dr. Livingstone Hamilton of the Canadian National Seismic Network, 9:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The seismograph registered a shock of earthquake potential occurring within a radius of 30 kilometers of Lake Cowichan, BC. Dr. H. Spry, our colleague and professor of astrophysics at the University of British Columbia, has just sent me a text that he has observed an intense, quick-moving, and brief flash of light, which rapidly entered our atmosphere and may have touched down in this area. Please investigate. Signed, Dr. Livingstone Hamilton, Chief of Seismology. Professor Sidhu, could this have to do with the gas eruptions on Mars?
Hardly, Miss Davies. This is probably a meteorite of unusual size, and its arrival is merely a coincidence. However, we shall conduct a search as soon as daylight permits.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 10 minutes, we have been speaking with Professor Sidhu at the University of Victoria. This is Miss Amy Davies, returning you to our Lake Cowichan radio station.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from Global News Vancouver. Professor Spry of the University of British Columbia reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 and 9:20 Pacific Time. This confirms earlier reports received from other observatories. Now nearer to home comes a special announcement from Duncan, BC. It was reported that a huge flaming object believed to be a meteorite fell in a remote area around Cowichan Lake, BC. The flash in the sky was visible within several hundred kilometers, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Nanaimo. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene, and will have our commander, Amy Davies, give you an update as soon as possible, as she can reach Lake Cowichan. In the meantime, we take you to the Shaker Mill restaurant for some live music.
Would you stay? Would you leave? I could wait. It'll all come out eventually. If I told you all the stupid...
We take you now to Laketown Ranch, west of Lake Cowichan, BC.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Amy Davies again at the Laketown Ranch. Professor Sidhu and myself made the 80-kilometer trip from UVic in 1 hour, a speed record. Well, I hardly know where to begin to paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes. It's like something out of a disaster movie. I just got here. I haven't had the chance to look around yet. There's a thing directly in front of me, half buried in the large field. It must have struck with great force. The ground is covered in splinters of trees that it hit on the way down. It must have shot through the satellites on the hill, as they are now nothing but misshapen bowls. What I can see of the thing is that it doesn't look much like a meteor, at least anything like I have seen on TV or the internet. It looks more like a huge cylinder. It has a diameter of, what would you say, Professor?
About 27 meters.
About 27 meters. The metal on the sheath, well, I've never seen its equal. The color is sort of yellowish white. Curious spectators now are pressing close to the object in spite of the efforts of the police to keep them back. They're getting in my line of vision. Would you mind standing aside so I can see?
One side there. Move to one side.
While the police are pushing the crowd back, here's Miss Bigrig, owner of a house across from the ranch. Miss Bigrig, would you please tell the radio audience as much as you remember of this rather unusual visitor who has dropped into your neighborhood? Step closer, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Bigrig.
Well, I was listening to the radio.
Closer and louder, please.
Pardon me?
Louder and closer, please.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was listening to the radio and kind of drowsing. That professor fella was talking about Mars, so I was kind of napping.
Yes. What happened next?
As I was saying, I was listening to the radio and napping when...
Miss Bigrig, can you get to the point? What did you see?
Nothing right away. I heard something first.
What did you hear?
A hissing sound, kind of like a firecracker before it explodes.
Then what?
I looked out the window and swore I was dreaming.
Yes?
I seen a kind of greenish streak shoot down, then wham! Something hit the ground with such a force it knocked me out of my chair with all the pictures off my wall, flew me right out of my chair.
Wow! You must have been frightened.
Well, I'm still not sure it happened. It happened so fast, I don't even think I had time to be frightened. Want me to tell you some more? My mama tells me I got a real talent for remembering details.
No, that's quite enough for now. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard live from Miss Bigrig, resident of Lake Cowichan and neighbor to Laketown Ranch, where this thing has fallen. I wish I could express the atmosphere, the background of this fantastic scene. About 100 cars are packed in the field behind us. Police are trying their best to rope off the U-boat highway leading to the ranch, but it's no use. People are breaking through the tape. Cars' headlights throw an enormous spotlight on the pit, where the thing is half buried. Some of the more daring souls are now venturing onto the edge of the field. Their silhouettes stand out against the thing's metallic sheen. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with the policeman. The policeman wins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I haven't mentioned in all of the excitement, but now it's becoming apparent. Perhaps you've caught it already on your radios. Listen. Do you hear it? It's a curious humming sound that seems to come from inside the object. I'll move the microphone closer. Now we're not 8 meters away. Can you hear it now? Oh, Professor Sadu.
Yes, Miss Davies.
Can you tell us the meaning of the scraping sounds coming from inside the thing?
Possibly the unequal cooling of the surface of the structure? The metal may have been damaged upon impact.
I see. Do you think we are dealing with a meteor here, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial, not found on this Earth. Friction with the Earth's atmosphere usually tears holes in meteorites. This thing is smooth and still in very cylindrical shape.
Just a minute! Something's happening! Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific! Amazing! The end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is starting to rotate, like a screw. The thing must be hollow inside.
She's moving! Look! The darn thing's unscrewing! Keep back! Keep back! Maybe there's men in it trying to escape! It's red hot, and they're burning up! Keep back! Keep all those idiots back, officer! She's off! The top's loose! Look out! Keep back!
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. Wait a minute. Something's crawling out of the hollow top. Someone or something I can see peering out of that black hole. 2 luminous discs. Are they eyes? 2 huge eyes? It might be a face. It might be... Ah! Good heavens! Something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. Now there's another one. And another one. They look like tentacles to me. There, I can see the body. It's large as a bear, and it glistens like the sun on water. But that face, ladies and gentlemen, it's really indescribable. I can hardly look at it. It's hideous. The eyes are black and gleam like a serpent. The mouth is V-shaped with saliva dripping all over it. The monster alien or whatever it is can hardly move. It seems to be weighed down. Possibly our gravity is too strong for it. The thing is trying to rise up. As it does, the crowd falls back like they're watching a tsunami approach. This is the most awesome thing I've ever witnessed. I have to stop to get a better look at the creature. Hold on. Will you, please? I'll be right back.
We are bringing you an eyewitness account live from the occurrence outside of Lake Cowichan, BC. We now return you to Amy Davies at the Lake Town disaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am back, live on the air from the top of the hill at Lake Town Ranch, where I can see the whole scene below me. I'll give you every detail as long as I can talk and see. More police have been called into the area. They are drawing a cordon along the Yubo Highway in order to keep the people out, although they are more hesitant now about approaching the area. The constable is conferring with someone. I can't see whom. Oh, it's Professor Sadu. Yes, I see him now. The professor is studying the thing while 2 more policemen approach it. It appears they have something in their hands. I can see it now. It's made up of white material tied to a stick, like a peace symbol? We come in peace? As if the creature knows what that means. Wait, something's happening. A hump shape is rising out of the pit. It seems to be able to stand now. I can make out a small gleam of light against the foreign object. What's that? There's an instant flash or beam of light springing from the object, and it shoots right at the advancing policeman. Run! Oh no! It strikes them head on. Goodness sakes, they're instantly on fire. The men have been vaporized. Now the whole field has been vaporized. The woods, the stage, the small venues, the cars on the field and the side of the road. It's spreading everywhere. The beam is coming this way. God save me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems we have lost contact with our correspondent, Amy Davies, and we are no longer able to continue with our broadcast. Evidently, there has been an issue with our transmission. We will return to this broadcast as soon as our connection returns. In the meantime, we have a bulletin from Vancouver, BC, where Professor Spry has announced that the explosions viewed in Mars are nothing but atmospheric interference caused by volcanic eruptions on the surface of Mars.
Ladies and gentlemen, a message has just been posted to our social media website. It seems at least 40 people, including 6 RCMP officers, lie dead in a field west of the town of Lake Cowichan. Their bodies burned beyond recognition. The next voice you will hear will be General Montgomery Smith from the Army.
At the request of Premier British Columbia, I declare a state of emergency for the area surrounding Cowichan Lake. 4 companies of military ranks are proceeding from various locations into Cowichan Lake area and will aid in the evacuation of people from their homes under military operations. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been informed that we have located a survivor of the massacre at Lake Town Ranch. Professor Sadu has been located in a clear-cut area north of the disaster site. From here, he has established an emergency observatory post. As a scientist, he will give his interpretation of the climatity. The next voice you will hear will be that of Professor Sadu from his phone live from Lake Cowichan.
Of the creatures in the meteor at Laketown Ranch, I cannot give you specific scientific information, neither as to the nature of their origin, nor their purpose here on Earth. But I can give you my best educated guess. For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as a vaporizing ray. It's all too evident that these creatures have technology far more advanced than anything I've ever seen. It is my opinion that these creatures are able to instantly vaporize any object they shoot at. The physics of this invention is outstanding. To be able to harness enough energy to instantly turn organic and inorganic materials into ash is unheard of. It's something out of a science fiction movie.
Thank you, Professor Sadu. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a bulletin from Duncan, BC, where the charred remains of Miss Amy Davies has been identified. Just in, the director of the Canadian Red Cross reports units of emergency workers are being dispatched to the disaster area, where a bulletin from the RCMP states the fires at the crash site are under control. Scouts report that all's quite quiet at the pit with no sign of life appearing from the mouth of the cylinder. And now, a special statement from Ms. J. Keeley, VP of Operations.
We have received a request from the military to hand over our entire broadcast facilities to the province and the military at this time.
We now take you to the field headquarters of the military, positioned at Centennial Park in Lake Cowichan.
This is Captain McDonald, heading to the military operations in the vicinity of Lake Cowichan, BC. A situation has risen from the reported presence of certain individuals of unidentified nature, but is now under complete control. Using drone technology, I can see the cylindrical object and the stealth movements of our troops, armed with machine guns. There seems to be no cause for alarm at the things, sensing our movement, have not dared to venture their heads above the pit. It's an interesting outing for the troops, and this incident allows us to test our new technology on new enemy. Using thermotechnology, I can make out our troops' movements. Heck, it almost looks like a real war out there. I see images that look like heat or smoke, on the scope still emanating from the wooded area surrounding the crash site. It is my belief the phenomenon was merely caused by fires left over from careless campers using this facility prior to the incident. It's difficult to see specific images as they are overlapping images, which are often obscured by the smoke. One company is deploying on the left flank. One quick thrust, and it should all be over soon. Now, wait a minute. I see something on the top of the cylinder. No, it's nothing but a shadow. Now all the troops are converging on the edge of the field. Around 100 men are closing in on that metal tube. Something is moving below. It appears to be solid metal. Some kind of shield-like affair rising. Rising up out of the cylinder. It's going higher and higher. It's standing on their legs, actually rearing on the cylinder, and now it's holding above the trees, and the searchlights are on it. Wait a minute!
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed on the Laketown field tonight are the first wave of an invading army from the planet Mars. A battle which took place tonight in Lake Cowichan ended in one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by the military in modern times. Around 100 trained men, assisted by modern technology, were pitted against one machine emanating out of the alien craft. The troops were slaughtered as the men were vaporized, crushed, or trampled under the feet of the alien machine. whose impenetrable shell was an unequaled match for our missiles and gunfire. Only a handful of survivors were found among the bodies strewn on the battlefield. The monster is, now, completely in control of the mid-Vancouver Island region, and has effectively cut this region off from the rest of Vancouver Island. Communication lines have been terminated. An electronic pulse was emitted from the machine, making local technologies unusable for most of Vancouver Island and the surrounding Gulf Islands. Police and military efforts have been made useless even with the military bases up and down the island. We are attempting to broadcast on an analog system a message from the Federal Minister of Defense.
Citizens of the nation shall not try to conceal the seriousness of the situation that confronts the country, nor of your concern of your government in protecting all the lives and the property of its people. However, I wish to impress upon you the urgent need for calm and fine, resourceful action. Fortunately, this terrible enemy is still confined to a comparatively small portion of the province, and we must place our faith in the military to keep them there. In the meantime, we must continue to perform our duties, each and every one of us, so that we can confront this destructive adversary with a nation united, courageous and sworn to the preservation of human supremacy on this, our earth. I thank you.
You have just heard the Minister of Defense speaking from Ottawa. We are operating on a manual-powered emergency radio frequency and are essentially isolated from any news outside this area. Wait! I am hearing noise on the radio. Information is coming in from local ham radio operators who are relaying information from one area to another. Reinforcements from Mars are coming! More outbursts have been seen from the planet's surface. Attempts are being made to locate Professor Sidhu and gather more scientific information about our current situation. But he has not been seen since the EMP burst. It is feared he was lost in the battle. I have just overheard that CFB Comox fighter jets have scouted 3 Martian spaceships hovering over the treetops of Stanley Park, Vancouver, BC. It seems odd that these UFOs are going out of their way not to destroy any cities or areas of the countryside. Yet they are causing mass panic, as well as mass destruction of cell towers, power lines, bridges, and railroad tracks. Oh no! The UFOs have vaporized the BC ferry terminals and vessels on the mainland, essentially blocking all communication, power, and travel from there to the island. Their goal? To effectively cut us off from supplies and aid from the surrounding areas. Wait! I have just been informed that earlier today, deer hunters had found another alien machine outside the town of Courtenay, BC. Military men from CFB Comox have been dispatched to blow up the second invading unit before the cylinder can be opened and the fighting machine rigged, creating another massacre like the one in Lake Cowichan, BC. They are taking position in the foothills of Mount Washington. Another ham radio operator just gave word that more UFOs have been spotted in Victoria, BC area. Naval ships from CFB Esquimalt have been readied for battle. More UFOs have been sighted off of Salt Spring Island, BC. Ladies and gentlemen, this just in. Fighter jets from CFB Comox are in pursuit of the UFOs. God help us, they can take down these alien terrorists. Somehow, we are able to tap into the frequency and overhear the action taking place somewhere in the woods surrounding Mount Washington. I'll see if I can rig something so you can hear what's happening there.
Range, 32 meters.
32 meters.
Projection, 39 degrees.
39 degrees.
Fire!
Fire!
140 yards to the right, sir.
Shift range, 31 meters.
31 meters.
Projection, 37 degrees.
37 degrees.
A hit, sir. We got the tripod of one of them. They've stopped. The others are trying to repair it.
Quick, get the range. Shift 30 meters.
30 meters.
Projection, 27 degrees.
27 degrees.
Fire!
Fire!
Can't see the shell land, sir. They're letting off smoke.
What is it?
A black smoke, sir. Moving this way. Lying close to the ground. Moving very fast.
Quick, put on gas masks. Get ready to fire. Shift 24 meters.
24 meters.
Projection, 24 degrees.
24 degrees.
Fire!
Fire!
Still can't see anything, sir. The smoke's coming near, moving like a snake in the grass.
Get the range. 23 meters.
23 meters.
Projection, 22 degrees.
22 degrees.
Air Force's jet fighter from CBF Comox. Enemy tripods now in sight. Reinforced by 3 machines previously sighted off Salt Spring. 6 altogether. 1 machine crippled, believed to have been hit by our shell. Guns now appear silent. There's a heavy black fog hanging close to the ground, of extreme density. Not sure of alien objective. Wait! The machines are close together now. They're moving to attack. Planes circling, ready to strike. 1,000 meters and we'll be over the first. 800 meters, 600, 400, 200, and closing. There they go. The giant arm of the fighting machine has been readied and raised for action. Green flash. They're vaporizing sections of the planes. Just nicked the tail of our plane. 2,000 meters. Mechanism jammed. No chance to release missiles. Only chance to save mankind is to crash the alien machine. Tell my wife and children I love them. Over and...
This is CFB Comox calling CFB Esquimalt. This is CFB Comox calling CFB Esquimalt. Come in, please. Over. This is Esquimalt. Go ahead. Over. 8 fighters, jets in engagement with enemy tripod machines. Over Forbidden Plateau. Planes vaporized or incapacitated by vaporizing ray. 1 enemy machine destroyed. Enemy now charging heavy black smoke in the direction of...
This is Richard Murray from Courtney. This is Richard Murray from Courtney. Warning. Poisonous black gas has flowed down from the mountains and into the streets of Courtney. Gas masks are useless. Urge population to move into open spaces. Cars use emergency routes. Avoid congested areas. Smoke now spreading over the Puntledge River.
2X2L, calling CQ. 2X2L, calling CQ. Calling 8X3R. Come in, please. Anyone, come in. Over.
This is 8X3R. Come back 2X2L. Over.
How's the reception? How's the reception? K, please. Where are you? 8X3R. What's the matter there? Where are you? Over. I'm speaking from the roof of the Parliament Building, Victoria, BC. The sound you are hearing is a warning sound for the people of this area. Thousands of people have moved west along the highway to Souk and the surrounding areas. Avoid going north on the island highway as enemy forces have a stronghold in the Cowichan Valley. No ferries are running as terminals have been vaporized on the mainland side. All communications with the mainland have been shut down by the EMP blast an hour ago. CFB Esquimalt had readied ships. I see an alien machine hovering over the harbor. It seems all military north of Victoria has been eliminated, and those here are in a stalemate with the alien ships. This may be our last broadcast. We'll stay here till the end. People are holding service below us. Now I look down into Victoria Harbour and see all manner of boats and planes trying to escape. Many boats are overloaded with people pulling out from docks. Streets are jammed with people. There is a noise from the crowds like those seen on July 1st. People are wandering in shock and fear, scrambling together for peace. Enemy now in sight. Five great machines. First one is walking through the ocean from the USA, like a man wading through a brook. Ladies and gentlemen, this just in. Martian cylinders have been seen falling from space and are dropping all over this great country. One outside every capital city in every Canadian province. Seems to be a timed invasion. Now, the first machine is reaching the shore. It stands, watching, looking over the city. Its steel head is high above the trees and rooftops. It seems to be waiting for the other machines. They rise out of the ocean like a wall of towers growing out of the sea. As they reach the shore, they are lifting their metal hands. This is, indeed, the end now. Smoke comes out, black smoke, slowly drifting up and down the streets of this fair city. Oh no! People in the streets can see it now. They're panicking, screaming, and running for their lives. The smoke is moving faster. It's reached Oak Bay, James Bay, and it is just below me. People are trying to run it and are dropping like flies. It's less than 50 meters away. 2x2L calling CQ. 2x2L calling CQ. 2x2L calling CQ. Victoria. Is there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone? 2x2L. Over.
As I set down these notes on paper, I'm obsessed by the thought that I may be the last living person on Earth. I have been hiding in this empty cabin west of Missachi Lake, a small island of daylight cut off by the black smoke from the rest of the world. All that happened before the arrival of these monstrous creatures in the world now seems part of another life. A life that has no continuity with the present. The furtive existence of a lonely orphan who penciled these words on the back of a sparkly unicorn notebook. I look down at my blackened hands, my torn shoes, and tattered clothes, and I try to connect them with a professor from UVic, one who, on the night of June, glimpsed through my telescope and saw a splash of light on a distant planet. My wife, my colleagues, my students, my books, my observatory, my whole world, lost, gone. Where are they? Did they ever exist? Am I Professor Aiden Sadu? What day is it? Do days exist anymore? Does time pass when there are no human hands to wind the clocks or replace the batteries? In writing down my daily life, I am hoping to preserve human history between the covers of this childish book. But to write, I must live, and to live, I must eat. I find moldy bread ravaged by previous cabin guests and an orange too dehydrated to be edible. I will keep looking for the inhabitants of this cabin were savvy folk who wouldn't keep food here to spoil, and there must be a stash of non-perishables somewhere. I keep looking out the window, and from time to time, I catch sight of a Martian above the black smoke. The smoke still holds this cabin in a black coil, but at length, there is a hissing sound, and suddenly I see steam, and suddenly I see a Martian mounted on his machine, spraying the air with a jet of steam as if to dissipate the smoke. I watch in horror from behind a dresser, in a corner, holding my breath as his huge metal legs nearly brushed against the cabin. Exhausted by terror, I fall asleep. It's morning. Morning. Sun streams in the window. The black cloud of gas has lifted, and the scorched meadows to the south look as though a black snowstorm has passed over them. I venture from the house. I make my way to the dirt road. No traffic. Here and there the wreckage of a car. Bags overturned, a pile of ash where a person should be. I push southwest toward Port Renfrew. For some reason, I follow the main roads, sometimes veering off onto logging roads, and feel safer trailing these monsters than running away from them. I keep a watchful eye out for anything. I have seen the Martians feed. Should one of their machines appear over the top of the trees, I am ready to fling myself into the bushes. I come across wild huckleberries and fill my pockets with them. I must keep alive. For these days, I wander along the road, running parallel to the main road and reach Port Renfrew, or more simply, Renfrew. I wander through a desolate world. Finally, I notice a living creature. A small squirrel in a Douglas fir tree. I stare at it and wonder. It stares back at me. I believe at that moment the animal and I share the same emotion. Joy. We are not alone in this world. I continue on my journey. I find a bike leaning against the tree, looking for its owner. I pause, seeing none. I hop on the bike and ride past Renfrew. 2 days later, I come to Souk, a city vaguely familiar in its setting, yet its buildings strangely shortened and leveled off like a giant's hand sliced through them with a knife. I reach the outskirts. I found buildings intact, but vandalized by the advancing Martians. Presently, I feel like I am being watched. I catch sight of something crouching in the shadows of a doorway. I make a step towards the shadows, and it rises up, becoming a man. A man armed with a large hunting knife.
Stop. Where did you come from?
I come from many places. A long time ago, from Lake Cowichan, via the University of Victoria.
Victoria, huh? Then Lake Cowichan?
Yes.
Lake Cowichan. Ha! There's no food here. This whole area is my country now. All this end of town down to the water. There's only food for one. Which way are you going?
I don't know. I guess I'm just looking for people.
What was that? Did you hear something?
It's only a bird. A live bird.
You get to know that birds have shadows these days. Say, we're in the open here. Let's crawl into the doorway and talk.
Have you seen any Martians?
Nah, they've gone down to Victoria. At night, the sky is alive with their lights, just as if people were still living in it. By daylight, you can't see them. 5 days ago, a couple of them carried something big down into a large, flat, scorched area. I'm wondering if they are learning how to fly.
Fly?
Yeah, fly.
Then it's all over. Humanity is lost. But stranger, there is still you and I. There are 2 of us left, at least.
They got themselves in solid. They wrecked the greatest country in the world. Those green stars, they're probably falling somewhere every night. They've only lost 1 machine. There isn't anything to do. We're done. We're toast.
Where were you? You're still in uniform.
Yeah, what's left of it. I was in the military reserves. Wasn't any wars anymore, and then there's a war between aliens and man. Although, we are more like ants, stomped on and lit on fire by some great alien magnifying glass.
And we're edible ants to boot. I found that out. What would they do with us, I wonder? Keep us like cows in a field?
I've thought it all out. Right now, we're only caught as we're needed. The Martians only have to go a few miles to get a crowd on the run. But they won't keep doing that for long. They'll be rounding us up, like herding cattle. They haven't even started on us yet.
Not started in on us yet? They decimated a whole town and literally cut us off from the rest of the world. Holy smokes! What can they do that's worse?
The worst is yet to come. All that's happened so far is because we don't have the sense to keep quiet, bothering them with our puny guns and stuff. Losing our heads and rushing off into crowds. Now, instead of working blind, we got to get ourselves organized and plan for the way things are now. This is our new reality. Cities, nations, civilizations. Progress is done. Gone. Finito.
But if that's so, what's there to live for? To be food for some alien race? That's not worth living for.
Well, there won't be any concerts, TV shows, or movies for the near future. That's for sure. No more nice dinners at fancy restaurants. If it's amusement you're after, I guess the game is up.
Then what is there to live for?
Life, man. That's what. That's what we need to preserve. And so do you. We're not going to be exterminated, and I don't plan on being caught either, and tamed and fattened up and bred for their pleasures.
What are you going to do?
I'm going on. Right under their feet. I got a plan. Humanity is finished. We just don't know it yet. We gotta study and learn about this enemy, and learn how to get rid of them.
Tell me the rest.
Well, it ain't all of us that are going to be cut out for this mission, but I watched you as you came into town, and I know that you've got what it takes. All those others, those office workers who are soft and easily manipulated, those are the ones they want, not us. The Martians will be perfect for those guys. Give them a nice cage, lots of food, no worries. Till the end.
Boy, you've really thought about this, haven't you?
You bet I have. And I'm not a lazy office worker. The Martians will make pets of them. Who knows? Will they get sentimental about the boy they've raised as a pet and kill it? Maybe they'll train some of them to hunt and kill us too.
No, that's impossible. No human being.
Yes, they will. And they'll be glad to do it for their alien masters. If anyone comes for me, well, I'll make sure.
In the meantime, you and I, and others like us, where are we to live when the Martians own the Earth?
Underground, man. We'll hide out in city sewer systems. There are millions of miles of them under Victoria. The main ones are big enough for anybody. Then there's cellars, vaults, underground storerooms, tunnels, and more. You begin to see? We'll get a bunch of strong men, no weak ones.
And you meant me to go?
Well, I gave you a chance. We need some brains to help organize the situation, too.
Well, you got me there.
And we've got to make safe places for us to stay. I can get all these books, science books. That's where men like you come in. We'll raid the universities, colleges, libraries, and museums. We'll spy on the Martians. We might not have to do it for long before we figure out their weaknesses. We need to figure out how to dismantle their machines, too.
That's your plan?
You and me, and a few more I've heard on the radio. If we get this right, we'd own the world.
I see.
Say, what's the matter? Where are you going? Come back! What's going on?
I don't think I can live in your new world. Goodbye, stranger. After ditching the stranger, I biked along Souk Road and eventually worked my way into Langford. It took me a few days, and my energy was beginning to run low. I had to move from dusk until dawn, as the machines, for all their advanced technology, did not seem to see well in the dark. Traveling at night was essential, as the closer I got to civilization, the more sentries were monitoring the roadways, scooping up humans who were lost or trying to find safety. I know it was a risk, but I decided to take the island highway into Victoria. I had a couple of close calls and was forced to hide out in bushes, abandoned houses, malls, and buildings during the day. Food was scarce, but I did find something that seemed edible in one food court. I ate it as fast as I could, hoping it didn't make me sick later. Water was another obstacle. There was plenty of water to be found in lakes and streams found along the roadside as I biked from Lake Cowichan to Souk. There was less as I biked into Langford, and nothing from Langford to Victoria, except murky, unsafe puddles. Thirst was becoming an issue. I'm not sure how much longer I can cycle or move on. The stench of dead bodies, human as well as other animals, becomes overwhelming as I pass Victoria General Hospital and make my way towards the city. Immediately, it is all too much for me, and my desire to head home becomes overwhelming. I turned off onto Mackenzie Road and made the long trek towards the university. I need to get home. Along the way, I am chased by a pack of dogs, which look like they once have been domestic pets, but now are lean and ravenous beasts looking for their next meal. Determined not to be it, I pedal as fast as I can and turn onto Cedar Hill Cross Road, losing the dogs when they catch wind of another easier prey to ambush. Shoot! My bike gets a flat tire on some broken glass, surrounding a massive car accident at the intersection of Cedar Hill and Shelburne Street. There are at least 10 cars and more bodies strewn along the road. The dogs will have a feast tonight. With a shudder, I move the uphill towards Mount Tommy, deciding to get a better lay of the land. I burst into the bushes along the road trying to evade the machines I think are scanning the road, waiting for daylight to come. I sleep like a baby, and when I finally wake, it is dawn. I walk up the last few meters to the top of the hill and am at a loss. Looking below me is a city in ruins, the only light coming from numerous fires I see burning below. Smoke is coming from the downtown area, as well as from houses and other land that has been set afire. How can anyone survive such devastation? How am I going to survive? From here, I can see large machines unmoving and spread strategically throughout the greater Victoria area, as well as a few which almost seem anchored out at sea. I begin to walk down the backside of the mountain, fearing detection, but no longer caring. I want to get down into the safety of the university, my second home. Suddenly, my eyes are attracted to an immense flock of blackbirds circling the sky below me. I hurry on, and an insane idea takes shape. I rush recklessly down the hill, following the birds, and I come across a metal cylinder. An alien machine. And I notice more of them further on. What has happened here, I wonder? I looked in vain for the monsters, but none were in sight, so I ran as fast as I could, past the machines, and took shelter in the bushes of a quaint house. Getting a closer look, I can see the birds are circling bodies fallen in a children's park. I feel sick. but cannot control the need to look at these bodies strewn about like matchsticks along the playground. Holy cow! These bodies aren't human. They are the bodies of the Martians. But why are there so many? And why are they so decomposed in such a short period of time? It has been less than 2 weeks since the first ship landed in Lake Cowichan. Yet, it feels like months have passed. Later, after the aliens were autopsied in laboratories throughout the world by leading scientists and military specialists, it was determined that these creatures had died from a disease-causing virus to which they were not protected and had no immunities. What a humbling predicament. After all man's military strength and defenses had fallen, the world was reduced to horror and decimation by these unstoppable aliens. And these creatures were brought down by a microscopic pathogen, a common cold. We must be careful and not get too arrogant, as one of these beasts could have survived and reported back to their home planet, the biological agent of their earthly destruction. We must prepare in case of another attack, though I feel certain I am safe for the time being. Before the cylinder fell, it is strange to think that once we believed we were the only life forms in the solar system. Beyond the petty surface of our humble little planet. That is a remote dream. Now we realize how lucky we were to be so naive. Strange, it now seems to sit in my peaceful office at UVic, writing down this last chapter of my record, to see life once again blossoming below my window as I watch students travel from building to building. Once again, feeling secure in the knowledge that we are not going to be invaded by Martians anytime soon. It is strange to watch these young adults playing games on the quad where new grass heals the black scars of the bruised earth, or laying about on the grass studying for finals in the brilliant April sun. Even stranger to watch sightseers enter the museum, where the disassembled parts of a Martian machine are kept on public view, as a reminder that this can happen again. Strange, when I recall the time when I first saw it, bright and clean cut, hard and silent, under the dawn of the last great day.
This is Mrs. Bloom, ladies and gentlemen, here to assure you that the War of the Worlds Vancouver Island edition has no further significance than as a school project for my senior drama class. It's the Lake Cowichan School Players' own radio version of paying tribute to a classic piece of literature. We hope that you enjoyed our little play as much as we enjoyed putting it on for you. This was a work of fiction, and nothing you heard was real. But, as in the case of the original play, we hope that you take away a basic understanding that we may not be alone out here in the hurly-burly of outer space. It might be a good idea to be humble and love your fellow man. Be good to yourself, your loved ones, your neighbors, and even strangers. It might be a smart investment to ensure that we have honed our survival skills, or at least learn the basics for when disaster arises, or the end of the world comes.
Tonight, CICV 97.5 Radio Cowichan and its affiliated stations have brought you The War of the Worlds Vancouver Island edition, originally written and produced by H.G. Wells. We hope that you enjoyed this program and continue supporting our local station. Thank you and good night.
The Lake Cowichan players. Drama teacher is Mrs. Bloom. The players are Aiden Sidhu, Darrell Van Basten, Destiny Livingston Hamilton, Amy Davies, Keely McDonald, Bethany Bigrig, and Helen Spry, who brought this play to us, and for this reason, we are forever thankful. The LCS players and myself, Mrs. Bloom, would like to thank CICV Radio Cowichan 97.5 FM for allowing us into their world.